Souse us therefore in the powdering tub of thy mercy.
that we may be tribes fit for the heavenly table.
Welcome, Meatsmiths. You are listening to a Meatsmith harvest, restoring husbandry to prosperity.
By means of the traditions of our fathers. This Farmstead Meatsmith production is made possible by you. If you like it, please consider supporting our team by going to patreon.com/Meatsmith and donating at a level you'd enjoy giving at. Your gift helps us increase the quality and quantity of all our free media education. Thank you, and happy harvesting.
Welcome, Meatsmiths, to a Meatsmith harvest, the podcast wherein we talk about all the things, and sometimes not the things that we planned. But we have a particularly unique opportunity today to talk with a shepherdess and a shepherd, or a sheepdog, as we were saying, in the beautiful domestic art of milking sheeps. And I was really happy to talk to the Hesters about this because I love pecorino very much. Which I know is probably not possible on the small scale, but that's okay. And our family has recently gotten into dairying. We finally got a cow. And we find in the gentle dairy animal this incredible boon to the household. It's like the key to a productive family, a family that has a project together. And that project is produce food for our bodies. And the central supply for us is the cow. That nutrient, or the milk, that nutrient is so delicious and wonderful and dense and nutritious that it is it's not disordered to make that the center of your agricultural production, because that's really for us what the whole thing is based on in the most efficient way. Mm-hmm. So it's really awesome. I have sheeps and I don't milk them, but I do look at their udders sometimes. And I think, if you would just calm down for a second, I could probably extract some milk from that udder. So I know Rachel and Kyle know how to do this expertly well. So I was going to ask you to please just introduce yourselves, and I'm going to hold up your book while you do that right here so people can get it. But please, Kyle and Rachel, tell us who you are.
Well, we are Kyle and Rachel Hester. We're in central Kentucky, and Kyle's in emergency services and working night shift, so I'll probably be the more verbose one today. But I was introduced to sheep dairy products when I was on the mission field in Romania, and they had this street food called placinta, which is essentially homemade pizza dough that you wrap around mashed potatoes, you smash into a flat pancake, you fry in lard, and then you sprinkle the world's best cheese with some garlic aioli on it. And I think I pretty much lived on that for about 8 months.
Okay, hold the phone. What is that called?
It's called placinta. It's spelled Plac, and it's a Romanian C with a little squiggle underneath it. I'm sure there's a word. And then I think it's which is I with a little triangle upside down on top of it, NTA. And if you're not careful, autocorrect really wants it to turn into the other anatomy that is on newborn animals when they come out.
Yes.
So, or something that's not the right anatomy, but you know what I'm talking about. So
yes, we do.
Yes. So it is the epitome of deliciousness. And then a few years ago, the lady who ran the orphanage I worked for, she came to our farm, and we made placintas for Kyle. And we quickly realized this was good peasant food because you cannot gorge yourself on it. Mm-hmm. We tried. We tried, and we viscerally regretted it. for about 6 hours. So it teaches you the meaning of self-control and the reward therein that you enjoy because you are not glutted on placinta. So anyway, but to make this dish the ambrosia that it is, you have to have sheep cheese. You cannot use a different animal's cheese because the sheep cheese, as you know, with the pecorino, has a very distinctive flavor to it, and it just adds that umami oomph to it at the end of it. So, you know, when I came home, I found the recipe, I made this, and I tried, you know, Greek feta from the grocery store, like the substitutions, and I was like, this ain't it. This is just not it. So he had grown up on his grandparents' farm. I was always like, you know, when I retire, we're going to have the hobby farm and a delightful little farm. And my parents had dipped their toe into homesteading in South Dakota, and suffice it to say, I was traumatized. I wanted nothing to do with agriculture. I was like, we're not doing it. And he was like, no, it's going to be a delightful little farm. So like I have a Pinterest board that's entitled Our Delightful Little Farm, and I was finding like, you know, this is the 20-teens, right? So this is back when coon pigs were bougie, and you know, if you had heritage breeds, you were frou-frou. This was not like common sense homesteading like it is now. So I found all the little unique ones, and I was finding these sheep breeds for when we did that, when we had lots of money to just blow on these animals. Well, he donated bone marrow after we got married, had a huge crisis, and we discovered that
health crisis.
A huge health crisis. Like he went from a healthy 26-year-old to a sick 82-year-old within hours of doing this procedure. And there was nothing. There was no resources. Like we contacted the bone marrow donation place, and they were like, you signed away the papers, so sorry. So I ended up doing a deep dive into Weston Price, nutritional therapy, and, you know, we started drinking raw milk and consuming liver and all the weird things. Like everyone thought we were crazy. And in school, I learned about Joel Salatin, and I got some of his books in the library, and I read him a couple of Joel Salatin's quotes, and I remember where we were because it was the first time since the bone marrow donation that he looked alive, and he goes, I could do that. And I was like, you realize, like, you have to do it every day, like, not just when you feel good. And I mean, he was like, we are getting a farm, we are getting property, we are doing this. Like, it was a little overwhelming, but we did it. So we had this property, we got a foreclosure, we got 8.5 acres, which we thought at the time was, you know, probably more than we needed because we didn't want to like go into production. And so we started with all of the trees because that's what Joel Salatin says to do. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, we have local Amish people who love us, but like if push comes to shove, we're not part of that community. Like we won't have access to their food. We need to have an option here by ourselves. And so I was like, the easiest four-legged animal to plug in at this point for us with our infrastructure or lack thereof would be sheep, because I'd had goats. Part of the traumatizing experience in South Dakota, I'm like, I ain't doing goats. And I don't like goat milk. We've been part of the goat milk herd share, and we were like,
not for
no
us.
Offense to the goat lovers out there, because I know you're out there, but we are not you.
But not for us.
It's just not for us. So I jumped online and found 2 border Leicester sheep, and so I researched the snot out of everything. And when I was looking at border Leicesters, it had a little blurb, historically used for milk, meat, and wool. And I was like, well, who milked them? And there was nothing on who milked them, why did they milk, and that kind of stuff. So, you know, since then, doing my book and researching more things, I've learned a lot of sheep breeds were historically milked. You know, the Lacoon breed, which is the French breed from which you make Roquefort, was not a dairy breed until the 1970s, specifically. The French government and the agricultural department did a huge, like, the entire region of Provence partnered to improve the Lacoon breed, and in a couple of generations, they are now a recognized dairy breed. So, you know, there are more milkier breeds than others, but doing research, a lot of breeds have historically been milked for a short time during weaning. It's a seasonal food, but a lot of people, you know, their ancestry is more apt to sheep milk products than, say, cows. So, like, my family hails from what used to be Prussia and is now Poland. And when I looked up my maiden name, that area is known for sheep cheese. So I would buy sheep cheese from international stores sometimes when I could find it, and I just felt better even than when drinking raw A2 organic cow milk from the Amish and that kind of stuff. So anyway, we got these 2 Border Leicesters, brought them home, and we were like, these are just the best little critters ever. This is awesome. So
So you've heard chicken math. Well, sheep math took over. So we had Mother's Day of 2020. We brought home 2 sheep, and by the end of that year, we had
8.
Yeah.
And then I bred them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we had 2 dairy crosses.
And in the learning process, she bred them with a
Gulf Coast native.
with a 6-month-old ram, and bless his heart, there are very full-bodied dairy ewes, and he's this little hobbit running around. So we had a very interesting lambing season that year because you could track his progression as far as how he had gotten tall enough
to get the ewes
to reach the ewe. So everybody's like, lambs in this amount of time. No, we had ours from
about a 3-4 month window.
April to late June.
So since then we have learned we breed with big boys, not the little boys, because we don't like staggered lambs. We want it in as close a window as possible. So, and then this was still kind of during lockdown, so I milked, full bred Gulf Coast native sheep, which are
if it had
wow.
If it had udder,
it got milked. And when we got our little pigs, he sat me down. He's like, "You are not milking the pigs. Don't do it."
Sow's milk.
I found a company in Spain that does make pig's milk cheese. They have to combine it with cow's milk.
No way.
Yes, it is possible.
I knew it was in the hopper somewhere, so that's why I decided to stop this before it could start.
Like, you can train them to get on a surfboard. You can train them to get into a stanch. And he's like, "We don't need to. No one needs that. Don't do it." And I'm like, "You're spoiled."
I believe you. That's incredible. Yeah, I've milked a sow a couple times.
Yeah.
And not a huge yield.
No, because you have to harvest like every hour because they have small yields consistently. It's not like a ruminant where you can hold it back and they'll. I looked into it, but he told me to stop.
I said stop. Yeah, and so that first period it was like if it had an udder,
it was getting milked.
Yeah. So
yeah.
The Gulf Coast. I mean, I heard you talk about you've done some jiu-jitsu and that kind of stuff. Like it was jiu-jitsu getting these things on a milking stanchion. Like it was a fight.
Yeah.
And once you got them, they were there, but it was not the hey, come on up on the stanchion.
There was one day where I literally grabbed her head, looked her in the eyeball, and said, "I don't care how endangered you are. I will eat you if you don't get up there." And she got up. So I mean, I know animals have a lower level of intelligence than human beings, but the vibe was received.
I think sheep are derided too much for being dumb. I don't think they're dumb.
Yes.
They are just sheep. They're very sheepish. 100% sheep.
Yes. I have a lot of people will come up and say sheep are dumb. I said, well, maybe yours are, but ours aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true.
Dumb sheep, but ours are not.
Yeah.
So
this was during lockdown, so the only way to have interaction was to get on social media. So I just was posting like, "Hey, this is what my Border Leicester yielded. Here's my Gulf Coast. This is this weird experiment I'm part of. The Gulf Coast is like 3/4 cream and 1/4 milk, and the dairy crosses are more like a tablespoon cream and some milk." And I just, because I was bored.
Wow.
And people were like, "Hey, how and why are you doing this?" And I'm like, "Because I'm stressed and so why? I mean, milk a sheep or go be part of the craziness. I will milk a sheep. That's my coping mechanism." So, I started making
that's the essence of sanity, I think. Milking, extracting milk, that's a very sane thing. It's so mammalian, and as we've already discovered, you can basically milk anything with nipples. And have you guys seen Meet the Parents by chance?
No,
with
but
Robert De Niro?
people quoted it to me. I know what you're talking about.
We know that one snippet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, people come up to us and they'll be like, "Hey, can I milk such and such?" And we quote it back like, "You can milk anything with nipples."
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the question is,
probably not.
to what effort do you want to go to this?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
But-
I couldn't
Yes, yeah.
buy Gulf Coast native sheep now and train her to milk because I have a 2-year-old, and that is all the training my brain can handle right now. So I mean, people will contact me and they're like, so and so breed, can I train them to milk? And I'm like, you can train them to milk. How much time do you want to give to that? Because an East Friesian is kind of like a Jersey cow, where she's kind of curious. She's going to be kind of friendly. Her temperament has been selected to be in partnership closely with humans. The meat breeds or the heritage farrow breeds, they have been left to fend for themselves, and they're going to identify you as a predator. So in order to work with them, the Babringham Institute did a research study thing, and I'm butchering that name, but anyway, the sheep don't recognize you as a human that is their boss. They recognize you as a funny-looking sheep. So if you become their shepherd, you are now a sheep to them. That's why you can work with them. And so, they did a study where they took a shepherd away for 2 years and then showed the sheep the picture of the shepherd, and they started calling a specific ba for lost sheep. Of there he is, and the pleasure centers in their brain all lit up. So, you have to establish yourself as a safe, trustworthy creature before they want to share, their body's life with you. So.
It's so true. True, and they will learn your voice too.
Yeah,
sheep know the shepherd's voice.
And
it's incredible. I've found that to be very
true.
true.
I'm like, why is Cimarron buying? But if Newsy's buying, well, she complains all the time. Just let her cry.
Yeah. So you probably get this question a lot, but imagine I'm a person with sheep, which shouldn't be too hard. I have a herd of hair sheep. They're like rando crosses of Katahdin and St. Croix. Yeah. And they're great. I really like them because they're really hardy. They're totally hands off. I basically ignore them. I don't help them. Except I move them every day. So I give them new grass every day. And I've got my favorite. They've all got their personalities. I love watching their herd dynamic. And I'm sure this is just amplified infinitely when you have dairy sheep. But I've got the lead ewe. She's the smart one. She's got the best conformation. All the sheep rightly listen to her because she knows what to do. She knows what to eat and when, and they copy her, which is a good idea because she's a smarty. She also has a nice little udder. So she's a meat sheep. I don't touch her. She is it's interesting. I think because she's the queen mother, as it were, in my perception, she will get closer to me than any of the other sheep. She seems to understand our relationship better than the others. But what does it look like for someone, a sheep farmer, to perhaps enthusiastically, zealously, hopefully decide to, I'm going to try to milk that sheep? What happens? Let's say you want to do it right, and you're like, you build a stanchion, you acquire a stanchion. I assume it's necessary. How do you get your wily, semi-wild sheep into that stanchion to milk it?
Well, with a nice tall warrior of Gondor like yourself, you just pick that sheep up, put it in the stanchion, walk her in, and say, "Stand there." But for we hobbits,
that's what I was thinking.
For us shorter people who are horizontally challenged. So the first thing is, I mean, and I actually learned this from you. If a sheep runs, then they panic. So you do not want them to run.
And the herd flock mentality is a super 100% thing. Like they won't.
Yeah.
There's some old jokes about how people are like, some people are like, what's the trouble over there? While someone else is running. No, sheep don't do that. Like if one runs, they don't ask why. They just all take off with it. We'll sort out the reasons later.
Right. So you want them one at a time.
Yeah.
You want them to. What?
I had a thought
I'm sorry.
on this note when he asked the question.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
maybe it's valuable. I don't. The biggest thing is, number one, is you're going to have to get hands-on with them first and foremost.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean get them in a small space. Get them in a pen.
Yeah.
Where, if you have any kind of sheep, small and compact is best.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them the ability to run around.
You really need them to trust you enough where they will eat out of your hand.
Yeah.
If they will eat out of your hand, then you can milk them because
there
they're
you go.
comfortable with human touch. If they will not eat out of your hand, I wouldn't waste my time.
So it's going to be a progression.
There you go.
It's going to take some upfront work of you're going to have to, like in your case, you're going to have to pin the ones that you're interested in up. Pin them up. Get in there with them. Take some feed, especially that rattles, so they can start get that noise association. And you just start. It's going to take time. You're going to have to sit with them. You're going to have to start being like, hey, offering them some, letting them see that, hey, you, food, go together. You're not there to eat them. And so it's going to take some time and progression. And the bottom line is, they will get to the point where you just open the gate and they run up to the stanchion because they know that's what they're supposed to do. The initial phase.
Really? Okay, so that's good. I want to clarify that. So, like, your meat sheep, like you're saying, you had those Gulf Coast sheep.
Yeah.
And every time I've harvested Gulf Coast, it's like, man, super wily, active, sprinty, runny sheep.
They didn't get the memo.
Deer.
They were domesticated.
No.
They're a cross between a deer and like
An antelope.
Yeah.
With a little bit of
But
speed.
will they get used to it eventually?
Yes.
If you stick
trained
to it.
2-year-olds. I trained
Wow.
2-year-old Gulf Coast natives that had never been handled. That was the one I looked in the eye and said, "Get your butt up there."
So
That's impressive.
So it can be done, but again, it's going to take the time. So
Yeah.
it's funny. A local college interviewed us early on, and we were talking because we have not butchered many of our sheep, but the one we had, they wanted to know why, and we said because he was nuts. And they're like, describe. I said, well, he broke through every fence we had. He,
Killed my apple tree.
He killed her apple tree. He knocked her over. It was like we gave you a chance.
Yeah.
You muffed it. So it's time to go. And in their college brain, they go, oh, so you have like an
evolution of morality.
Yeah.
Like, if you're bad, you get eaten. I'm like, yeah, have you read the Bible? Like, have you
but we kind of took it. It's like, we have a very clear policy of morality around here. If you work and you work with us,
we'll work with you.
You can stay. You will work with you.
Yeah.
If you're absolutely hell bent on you are not going to do anything,
you're delicious.
You're delicious. You're too delicious to put up with that.
Yeah.
So
we bought 2 Gulf Coast natives from one farm, and we think the cow may have caused a miscarriage in one of them, and so she was very she miscarried the lambs. That was the first time we had to pull them. I know what hell smells like now because the lambs were decomposing in her. And then the other one gave birth. So the one who gave birth, we milked her that year, and we nursed the second one back to health, but she won't breed back. And she had been the friendlier one initially until we started milking the first one. And we ended up eating the friendlier one and have kept the wilder one to milk because the wilder one learned after that first milking cycle, don't touch her, don't really look at her, but she will run out of the holding pen up onto the stanchion. She knows that thing's going to click, and she knows that I'm going to handle her udder.
And she's going to get to eat.
And she's going to get to eat treats. So, like, that is the thing. If you're going to milk non-dairy breeds of sheep, you are going to become very comfortable with the art of bribery.
Yeah,
Yes.
So, and it can be whatever bribe you want. Some people put little apple cubes in there. For me, it's easier to do, soaked and slightly fermented, barley, alfalfa, lesbides. Like, I have a whole little mix that I make, and, you're either cheering or crying on your grass-fed affiliations.
Yeah.
But
so
is a sheep stanchion the same as a goat stanchion? Are they identical?
Yes. Like, we use goat plants. I have a sheep-specific stanchion in my book. The main thing with sheep is you have to watch the neck wool when you put them in a stanchion. So you need to understand if you are a dairy sheep farm, you will have wool as a byproduct, but you will not manage your wool in the same way as a fiber farm will. So I use my wool, we wear it, I send it to a mill and have it spun, but it's not your fine, cushy merino that you're going to find at some luxury yarn stores. So it is the homesteaders wool of, it will outlast Carhartt and it'll do the job, but it's not going to win any awards.
Yeah.
So all that to say, you can trim the neck of your sheep to keep them fitting into the stanchion if they are a wool breed, but if they're a hair breed, you don't really have to worry about that. So,
but to tie it all into your original question, yes, this started off being a feral. Like, I had to tackle this sheep
you did.
on multiple occasions. Like,
Yeah.
literally get on top of her, restrict all movement whatsoever, pick her up,
Yeah.
drag, carry, whatever like that, place her into the stanchion. Like Rachel's locking in it was like whenever I'm, handling somebody who's resisting at work.
We have learned you can use a chute. Like, we did make a plywood chute after
after
that.
a while.
But we were young in the ways of shepherding at that time.
Well,
so.
but in her case, like she was a deer. She would jump, she would sprint, and so it takes the time.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the animal.
Yeah.
So again, she is not our friend. She's not going to come up and just want you to cuddle her.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's not been milked in a year. We had to do hoof trimming, and we just let her out of the pen, shook the feed. She ran to the stanchion, jumped up on it. We closed the gate, poured the feed in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's
it is
awesome.
possible. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
going to take time.
Yeah, and she will eat out of my hand.
She will.
I will be here holding out the feed in my hand. She will be over here. She will stand on her tiptoes, reach out her neck, and like nibble it with her lips and like stick out her tongue. So she is not in close proximity, but she gets the like okay.
But
Just-
So
I mean, we again the sister that we were trying to keep with her also, who was by all accounts crazy. She was infectious to the flock, and she's wound up in the freezer because she'd spook and everyone else would
spook.
would spook the whole flock.
And she was ruining our lambs, and it was so interesting. The day we took her to the slaughter, the whole flock was different.
They
like
calmed
within
down.
an hour,
Mhm.
they were completely different, and we were like, "Oh wow, this is a good lesson for us of just get rid of the
So-
crazy ones right
Yeah.
away." That's what
Well,
they are.
and so like in your
Absolutely.
case, for example, if you wanted a group that you were going to try to milk, but you've also got some more feral ones that you just or want to let them be on their own for meat, it might behoove to kind of separate the groups because you're gonna have to do the daily interaction and the work with the ones you're going to milk, and you want them as calm and as chill and. You don't want your dairy animals running around
Because they won't let down their milk.
having the adrenaline
Like
rush.
you physically cannot milk a sheep who is panicked because they will not let down, especially.
that was my next question.
Yeah.
Yeah. How essential is the letdown?
With my sheep,
For sheep.
now, after milking them for a couple of years, I walk in, I wash their udders, instantaneous letdown. I don't even have to bump them.
Yeah.
They will retain a good mouthful or three for their lambs, and there is no getting that out of them. So, like, once the lambs are completely weaned, then I get all of it, and they just kind of look at me like, "You monster, you took my baby." And I'm like, "Well, you get food, leave me alone." So,
That's so interesting because I feel like it would be so fun to engage that because I love herd culture of all the various animals that we raise. And I am convinced that our dairy cow thinks that we are her calf. She thinks all creatures are her calves.
Yes.
And so, which is, that's why she's so sweet to us. She lets us milk her. She wants to live in our house. Like she would sleep in my bed. She just wants to be
Yes.
with us all the time.
yeah,
She doesn't even really like the company of other cows. She's like, meh,
yeah.
they're kind of weird. They're not as calm. But this is annoying because she also treats all of my lambs like her calves, and she lets my lambs suckle her. And so, because I run them together, and it's extremely annoying.
Yeah.
They will absolutely drain her, and I'll get an ounce of milk in the morning. And she's like, "What? They're all my children," So it would be,
Okay.
and I don't know if I think sheep. I imagine it's a little different. Like you say, they kind of regard you more as the head sheep, and they follow you, and slightly different dynamic there.
Family groups allow lambs from within that family group to co-nurse. But if you're not within the line, they will headbutt another lamb away. So they are very clannish. So I mean, you can tell And it's not breed, it's family. So like, they'll have
Yeah.
buddies in the different breeds, mine will at least. But once you get a family group together, you have the sisters and then the cousins and then the grandkids are all over here, and then you've got the other group over here. So we did learn the hard way. If a family group has twins and there's ram lambs in the twins, we have to pull those ram lambs to let the ewelings nurse, because we were losing ewe lambs to starvation because the ram lambs were just going around and harvesting everything. And then we were losing ewe lambs, so when we pulled the rams, the ewes started beefing up, and I was like, you little monsters. But
ruthless. Yeah, I think that's the more essential unit to herding animals too. Is their herd is formed not by exterior pressure of predation so much as family group. The family group is essential to the composition and the order of the herd, for sure.
And the thing is, where you're talking about, like, you have your herd queen, your queen mother. We've got that too, and her daughter is the heir apparent,
and knows it,
and knows it,
knows it so bad.
like obviously we didn't do any voting here. Like, there's the herd queen, and then her daughter is like, she's the up and coming, and everybody knows that. And it's funny, it breaks down into the milking routine because we pin them all up, and the herd queen's coming out first.
Yeah. And if we do not respect that,
we're in trouble.
She throws the biggest hissy fit, and she is headbutting all the other sheep. They're screaming. She's knocking stuff down. I mean, it is a royal hissy fit. Our bad, Sue. You go first tomorrow. So, if we must then her sister or her daughter, who is the heir apparent, and if Stella, the black sheep, if she wiggles out because she produces more than all of them, and she'll wiggle out because she's like, I'm full, I need the pressure. If she goes first, it is so bad. Like, they headbutt her.
If there's line cutting, it shows.
The boar's head in hand bear I, bedecked with bays and rosemary.
How many people do you know who are building their home culture around seasonal harvest and feasting? Or that are hunting as you are for self-sufficiency and back-to-the-land values? Or that share your artist's passion for human-scale meatcraft? At farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we've created a community of hundreds of omnivores from around the world with these shared goals, and 2 major places for them to learn from and inspire one another. First, we have our semi-annual hands-on educational event, The Family Pig, here at our Heartland Homestead in Oklahoma. Come meet Brandon, get your elbows greasy, and over the course of 3 days, kill, cut, cure, and cook 2 pigs completely. You'll rub those greasy elbows with other meatsmiths from around the country, sharing meals and conversations to inspire you for years to come. Secondly, for more remote learning, over at farmsteadmeatsmith.com, we host a purely digital membership program with an archive of film and textual resources 5 years deep now. And both our on-site classes and online program include access to our most unique and rewarding private community Facebook page, Meatsmith Table, which is the only international network by and for homesteaders harvesting animals on a domestic scale using traditional and regional methods. We've been told that our classes are life-changing and the membership program unparalleled in quality and quantity. To get a taste of our education, search farmsteadmeatsmith.com and our YouTube channel for our free films, conversations, and downloads. Explore how we and other meatsmiths across the globe may best come alongside you and support you in building your home around the harvest. Please head to farmsteadmeatsmith.com today.
That's amazing. So there's so much order. They're the opposite of, random animals seeking nutrient and survival. They have almost a culture, a culture that's appropriate to sensible creatures, not to rational animals. So in that, sense, can you describe what a milking session looks like for your herd? Like you go, you gather them, you bring them in, or you call them, or call them each by name, and they frolic and jump into the stanchion. What does
Well, they do
a
call my name
milking
after
session
frolicking.
look like?
Yeah. So it kind of starts the night before when we separate the lambs. And so
Okay.
depending on how much we work with the lambs.
Because to preface, again, we're a first responder family, we lamb share a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we need that flexibility. So if something's gone crazy at work or something like that, then some days the lambs may just stay on totally, and that way they're still producing milk, they're still getting fed. We're not having to take on the chore that day.
Yeah.
So
It's
Brilliant.
very sad when we have to pull ram lambs at 3 months old because now they're viable, and we're like, oh, dang it. We have to be responsible dairymen now.
so I mean, we lamb share a lot.
Yeah.
So they stay
Yep.
with them for quite a while. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna milk, first thing is get those
Separate
lambs
the lambs.
separated
And
into a secure enough pen that they're not
Yeah.
gonna sneak out, because, and
Oh
it
my
needs
gosh.
to, and you need to have the lambs in a different area than the ewes,
Yeah.
because we've had the lambs and the ewes separated by a fence. The ewes will come to the fence.
Hey, fence. By fence, he means a pallet fence,
pallet
because
fence.
we also
Yeah.
are cheap, and so we have made little pallet paddocks.
Yes.
And I have seen a Gulf Coast native ewe stand on her hind legs, put her hooves on top of the pallet, and her lamb stick her lips between the pallet rungs and nurse. So
Of course.
yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've learned is necessary.
Yeah, otherwise the lambs take all the milk. So we separate the lambs. Now the first couple weeks it is just absolute pandemonium. The lambs are screaming we're being kidnapped, the ewes are screaming you monster, and it is not there's no frolicking. But again, loving bribery as much as I do, I will give the lambs some feed, and so the lambs quickly learn if we go into our bassinet, we get rewarded. And so after a little bit they will learn, and in fact the ewes will try to follow them sometimes because they're like, hey, we want candy too, and I'm like, you get that in the morning. So lambs get separated,
Yeah.
and then we'll leave the ewes out, in their paddock or pasture. And so in the morning, then I go out with, the milking buckets and the warm soapy water and, iodine if I need it. And so I'll call the ewes in, and the herd queen will let me know if I'm tardy, which is very consistent this year that I'm tardy. So, and she doesn't really baw usually unless she has decided it is time for us to milk. So I go in there, and the other ewes will run into a little, stall we've made, and the herd queen will watch all them go in, and then she looks me in the eye, and she goes to the stanchion and then looks at me, as is her right and duty as the queen, to go first. So then I'll put her in the headlock, and I give her some soaked grains, I'll wash her udder, and then I start milking her. So with sheep, their teats are sometimes more in the middle of their udder, and so I when you talk to new hand milkers of the cow or goat persuasion, there is someone somewhere warning people most vehemently about, do not ever manipulate the udder. You must only place your hands and fingers on the teats. Don't stretch them, don't pull them, don't manipulate at all. You just squeeze the teats and milk flows into your bucket. And with sheep, you can't do that because their teat placement is different. So I will actually, with some sheep, grab the teats in the middle and then have to pull down and then push up and then squeeze, because I'm having to manipulate the milk into a downward fashion. If I were just squeeze, it'll hit the wall of the barn or my eye, or it will not.
Yeah, because they're pointing sideways, is what you're saying many
Yeah.
times, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or
Yeah.
one sideways and one's down here. It's like you don't really know what you're getting if you're doing, not the proper breeds because they've been selectively bred for the proper udder. So you just kind of have to do hand gymnastics, and we have learned to be very selective about udder and teat health, because we did have one Gulf Coast native with a square udder and jelly bean teats, and I literally had to milk with my pinky and fourth finger, and
It's not the way to go.
that's not the way to go. But we have found
No.
that those kinds of sheep, if you wait till they're a year and a half or two to breed them, their udders and teats will develop more fully, and then they're easier to hand milk. If you breed them in their first year, they don't have that good of an udder to harvest from. So
And I mean, again, we got a comparison here because this was either a set of cousins or a set of sisters. I don't know which one that we bought together.
yeah,
the one with the jelly bean teats, she broke out and got with a ram under a year old and had a lamb. And so again, she's not a good milker at all.
Great mother, terrible milker.
Great mother, terrible milker.
Yeah.
Her counterpart,
Yeah.
we kept her back and didn't breed her until she was a year and a half. And
One of our best udders and milkers.
and she's a purebred Gulf Coast, and she put some of the dairy sheep to shame in terms of her letdown, her milkability, her teats, etc. Like she does better than some of the dairy breeds as a primitive Gulf Coast. So we try to be very strategic about, we don't breed them too early because they need that developmental time.
Now, I have heard with like these Frisians, you want to breed them earlier, because if you don't, they will develop their udder to the point where it's a fatty udder, and then it is very difficult to get a letdown and hand milk. So then there's that opposite side of the equation that you have to be mindful of too.
Yeah, and so with the sheep that in your flock, what is your target or your ideal size teat that you're able to get? You know, are you able to get 2 fingers around it? You know, is it?
I can.
I guess on my cow,
Yeah.
you can do a whole hand.
If I can get...
I can. I'll have to look at my videos. I can do, the first 2 is typically 3 fingers for me. So that's me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's doable.
for comparison's sake, I wear a medium, large size glove kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I can get 2 fingers, I'm counting that good.
Yeah.
If I have to do this, it is not a
He's
good
not
day.
happy.
It's not a good day. If I can get 2 fingers on it, I'm okay, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get the third, that's cake. But
yeah, our favorite cross at this point is a East Frisian Tunis cross, because you get the largeness and the length of lactation of the East Frisian, but then the hardiness of the Tunis. And so that the animal can be more flexible with our crazy schedule, but you still get decent teat size, decent udder size, decent harvest, and that kind of stuff. So,
yes, and so the East Frisian then is that's like the Holstein, right? That's like the semi-fragile but high-producing sheep breed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess Lacoon would be more like the Jersey, and then the Awasi is a desert breed. And they really do better more in the Southwest. And I just recently learned the Awasi importations were more focused on the fat tail for meat production. They were not getting high producing dairy lines. And so our Awasi situation is very interesting.
But to finish up your how does the milking thing look, another lesson that we did learn is, so you get them up on the stanchion, you milk them, they've eaten their ration, you bring them down off the stanchion, and in our experience, we do not put them back with the group that's still yet to be milked. Like if we're shearing, for example, we're putting them, we're shearing them, putting them right back again, because you want that compactness of as many animals as possible to keep them from moving around. In the milking case, we have 2 pens, the ones waiting to be milked and the ones who have been milked. You don't want to put them back in together, because
they turn around.
They'll turn right
and
back
come
around.
Right back in 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, they're ready to get back in the bread line.
Yeah.
So
and so when I put them in, when they've been milked, when I put them in that pen, they'll be lined up trying to cut back through, and I will just take their nose and push it to the side, and then let the one that's just been milked run in. And it's more manageable that way for us.
But it's more hassle in terms of, at least if they're done, they go into the other holding pen so that they're done.
Yeah.
And that way, they're not going to be like, hey, I'm coming back for seconds. No.
Yeah. They really don't care what you do to them once they understand that feed is delicious and only found in the milking stanchion. So,
yes.
Again, bribery has its place in this world, and the milking stanchion is one of those places. So,
So where are you sitting when you're milking them? Are you behind them or beside them?
We are, because our breeds are smaller. If you get a larger,
to clarify, we're behind them.
Oh yeah, we're behind them. Sorry, we're behind them.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
when we first started, we were like, we're going to be natural and not dock their tails because, it's better for them. And after our first milking of a tailed sheep, we said, shepherds have been traditionally docking tails, and there's a reason why, and we're going to do that now. So,
Now, again, we don't like the, just like castration. We don't really like to we don't really like to castrate. We don't really like to do the tail docking. So
Yeah.
if it's a ewe lamb that we know is probably going to get milked, we'll dock her tail.
yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
The ram lambs, they get to keep their tails because we don't care.
Yeah. They can use their equipment
Yeah.
or no tail. And it's just a less step for us. And, with the fatter tail breeds, it is an actual delicious piece to harvest when that time comes.
Yeah.
Or end their end of the sheep. So,
Yeah.
anyway. But
Yeah.
our breeds right now on our pastures, which are full of fescue and very little topsoil, all of which we put there, we will get a quart, maybe a pint if we're supplementing with hay. You can get up to a gallon from some East Frisians, but those are the sheep where
Wow.
you cannot wait an hour past milking time. You have to milk them. You milk them the second lambs drop every day.
Holstein.
Yeah, Holstein. And so, you can have fewer sheep if you get the higher producers, but you have to understand that is your life now, because everyone I know who has gone from heritage or meat breed sheep and milked them successfully and brought in an East Frisian has had a very stressful month post lambing, because it's such a huge learning curve of you cannot use the same natural practices with these sheep as you have with your other sheep. You can do natural practices, but you must be far more disciplined and consistent, or the sheep will suffer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That makes sense. That's kind of across the board with the highly specialized breeds. There's just less forgiveness
yes.
with them.
Yes.
So do you milk once a day?
We did twice a day our first year, and
Oh.
then we just our we were doing the cow as well, and then we called the Amish guy for a question. He's like, "How's life?" And we're like, "We don't have one. We're milking all the time." And he's like, "Just milk once a day." And we're like, "Oh, we can milk once a day. We can have a life."
Yeah.
Yay.
Option.
That's an option. So we milk less a day, which we have less of a milk harvest, but that just means I get to have more sheep, so that I still have the same harvest. It's
Yes.
just a day. So that's an ongoing debate.
Yeah. We're once a day too, and that is much more doable for the family schedule for sure. So you milk, and then I'm assuming you put the milk in a pail, you strain it, and then it goes into the house. And do you have any of your favorite makes, or do you just drink it all? Because we get about a gallon and a half to 2.5 gallons from our cow. We'll get an ounce after my sheep drink it all, but
Cracks.
we honestly, there's a lot of us, so we tend to it just gets drunk around here, which is why I need more milk. So what happens to your milk after milking?
In the initial stages of us milking to very recently, it just got drunk.
Yeah.
And so again,
Yeah.
So funny side story. The first stuff that we milk, I am not a milk person. I grew up hating milk until we started drinking raw milk, and then she had to cut me off after I drank like 3 gallons in a week. She's like, "You gotta slacken back a little bit." So I did not know what I was missing. So
Yeah.
I'm a milk and cookies kind. I don't just drink milk for the enjoyment of drinking milk. We started milking the sheep.
First day milking.
We
bring it in.
We put the quarts.
I have the white gold.
Yes.
I've harvested this. It was like my first good experience with this brand new sheep, and I'm like, "Kyle, look, I strain it. I take a sip. I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor," and I go, "You have to try this." So I hand it to him. I am the oldest of 5 children.
I didn't think you were present.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, okay.
I
Sorry.
watched you do this. That's
Oh.
how I know this happened, and I talk about it all the time.
I digress.
So I'm the oldest of 5, and as you are a parent of a large amount of children, I'm sure you have a similar rule in the household. There is a specific call of, I'm about to finish this food item. Does anyone want any? And you show this thing called consideration. When you're a lonely old, you do what you want. And I don't know how to talk the jar of sheep milk out of this little glutton's hands, but he just went.
But in an uncharacteristic move, I took a sip, and I just kept. And in true Viking fashion, I just keep going.
And like I thought, it was up, and then like it just keeps going down and down and down. I'm like, hey, and he just took the jar down and goes, "That was delicious. Are you okay? You look a little upset." And I'm like.
I haven't lived that one down. I was shocked at my own abilities, but that goes to the tastiness.
He's like, "Aren't you happy that I drank a whole quart of milk by myself?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go for a walk now because."
Yeah. but that goes to the tastiness of and the drinkability of sheep milk. Because I just stood there and downed that on a hot summer day. I just downed that thing, and I was like, I was shocked about myself.
Yeah. Well, and when I was pregnant, I had the worst morning sickness. Like, it was the best weight loss plan I've ever been on my entire life. Like, they were monitoring me and then I was depression. If I drank a quart to a pint of sheep milk at night before bed, I had no morning sickness issues. And then I had a 2-day rather traumatic labor, and he actually smuggled sheep cream into the hospital for me with our midwife's blessing. And if I was drinking the sheep cream, straight cream, like I separated the sheep milk because when you go into labor, you do weird things. So I was like, hey, I'm in labor. I should separate sheep milk into cream and skim milk for some reason. So I did that, and I had this cream. And so I was drinking, a cup to a pint of sheep cream every day for a few days. And as long as I was doing that, mentally I was okay. If I didn't have the sheep milk or cream, all of a sudden, why did you do this to me? This was the worst idea ever. We're all going to die. I'm a terrible mother. And he's like, here's your sheep milk. Come back to reality.
Yeah. And in our first day, 2 days after our son was born, there was nursing issues. He got jaundice really bad. We had to go back in the hospital and get put under the blue light. And so during that time, she started drinking the sheep cream straight. Yeah. And so whenever he got released from the blue light and started nursing again, boom, it was just daylight and dark difference as far as nursing issues were clearing up. He started perking right back up. I mean, she was literally taking jugs of sheep cream and just
downing it,
tossing it back. So all that to say, for the first several years, it didn't survive the drinking process. It stayed at drinking, and then it did go into soap making some.
Well, because everyone's like, just freeze your milk, and which I'm sure is true if you are a smart person who builds infrastructure first before acquiring animals, and you buy a new freezer who knows how to maintain the proper temperature at all times. But if you are of our persuasion and a friendly Amish person has given you their old freezer, and only God knows how old that thing is, the temperature may fluctuate and the fats and whey will separate, and it is not a pleasant beverage at that point. And so I turned a lot of it into soap. So I'm still trying to figure out the tricks with freezing, because half the people have an issue with it separating and other half the people have no issue with it, and I haven't quite discovered what the trick is there. So we were trying to freeze it for the first couple of years for winter drinking, and after 3 years of it just not staying consistent, I was like, you know what? Why don't I just turn it into cheese? Because that's how shepherds traditionally stored their milk, was in cheese, and so we've been quite pleased with that storage.
So all I had to say, it started off drinking, then drinking in soap, and now the new adventure of this year has been the cheese. So she's cranking out sheep cheese
consistently,
very impressively fast. So
and that's the beautiful thing about sheep milk, and in my estimation, is it's like twice the cheese solids. It's twice the yield of cheese compared to cow's milk. It's immense. There's so much fat in sheep milk. It's so delicious, and it's incredibly nutritious, and it does separate, doesn't it? It just takes a while. The cream from everything else.
If I put
long while,
it will take probably 4 to 5 days for you to see a visible cream line. Like, I can kind of tell at this point where the cream has kind of gone to and where the skim has kind of decided to settle, but to see that demarcation, you need 4 to 5 days. And then the risk there is that it's going to turn a little bit afterwards. So and sheep cream does not churn into butter like cow cream does, because sheep has different types of fat and protein solids. There's a little bit more polyunsaturated fat than saturated fat in the sheep cream. And so I'm actually going to interview a culinary school in Italy or Spain. If you're listening, forgive me for not knowing. Sicily. Sorry, yeah, Sicily. And they have mastered the art of sheep butter making. And so I'm going to interview them and discover the secrets of how one does this. And there's they ferment it a certain way. You have to use a cream separator to get the thickest fat of it to make the butter. So,
so that's what really sold us on getting a cream separator, because I mean, as you very well know with your cow, you milk, you put it in the fridge, and then
next morning
you've got you define cream layer. You can scoop, you can do whatever. We couldn't do that with the sheep milk,
right?
So,
and I mean, to be honest, I finally coaxed this cream I separated from my sheep milk into butter, and I put it on sourdough bread, and I said to Kyle, I feel like I put vanilla icing on a sourdough piece of bread. And some people hear that and go, that sounds like heaven. And to me, it was like you have the sourness of the sourdough with the super duper sweetness of vanilla icing. And I was like, I don't like it. I don't like this combo. Yeah. Weird. So, and the traditional saying
it's very sweet.
The traditional saying was, a cow for butter, a goat for milking or for drinking, and a sheep for cheese making. So traditionally it was sheep cheese, not sheep butter. So you can't.
Yes. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And
I've found that the sheep, I've read too that the sheep curd, when it precipitates in your cheese vat, it's very because of all the fat in it, it kind of makes it easier, the cheese make process a little easier, because you don't need to or want to overhandle the curd.
Correct.
The more you handle it, the more fat you'll lose from it. And so there's a lot less, you're handling a cow curd much more and draining it much more. But the sheep curd is just, it takes up more of the vat, it's substantially higher yield, and it's less handling to make very delicious cheese.
Yeah, you use less rennet.
Just seems really cool.
You use less rennet.
Oh.
So I have a book that has both sheep Wensleydale and cow Wensleydale recipes side by side. And the sheep Wensleydale is significantly shorter in the processing than the cow milk Wensleydale to still get a very lovely cheddar type cheese.
Yeah, that's so cool. And that's kind of, you get into those Alpine style cheeses, which was kind of on the scale of cheddar, and the Parmesan Romano, and then the Pecorino, which is usually it's a cooked cheese with a highly chopped up, as it were, curd, like to the size of rice. And then they cook it, and it's kept for a long time. And that's the Pecorino. It takes a lot of milk to make those kind of Alpine cheeses, but they were fermented for transportation, big old wheels. So you could bring them down from the Alpine pastures down into the lowlands and sell them. And that's what I dream about when I look at my sheep, because those Alpine cheeses are just so good.
Yeah, and you can make a similar cheese, like a Pecorino style cheese, but then we get into the discussion of terroir. And, when you get those big, huge wheels, the curd develops differently than when you make a smaller wheel. And so the texture may not be the exact same. I mean, the beautiful and tragic thing is you cannot emulate a cheese outside of the region in which it was invented. You can make a mock-up of it, or an imitation, or something in that style, or you can develop your own type of cheese, which is exactly terrifying, but you cannot make a French Alpine Roquefort in central Kentucky. You can make a Roquefort, but it will not be the same kind.
Yeah. It's a Kentucky Rover. So what kind of cheese do you make? And what has been your most successful cheeses from your sheep milk?
Okay, let's see. I have done a Wensleydale.
Well, that's cool.
And yeah, which I didn't realize Wallace and Gromit were like the poster children of Wensleydale. So I was like, look, I made a Wensleydale, and all the Wallace and Gromit memes came out of the woodwork, and I was like, okay.
Didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Wensleydale.
I've made several tomes. That is everyone wants to start with mozzarella. I would say start with a tome cheese because it is one of the most forgiving, and you can age it for a week or you can age it for 8 months, and you will still have a good cheese. It won't be the same cheese, but it will still be a good cheese either way. Of course, feta. My feta making has been more of the accidental type. When I tragically found sheep cheese in the back of the fridge that had gone beyond the date by which you want to ferment it with cheese making cultures. And so the first accidental one was it was almost a clabber. And so I was like, well, I'll heat it up and make a traditional like clabber cottage cheese. And then I just drained it and pressed it, and then I've been salting it, and I'll stick it in a brine. So I don't know if that one will last very long, but it tastes like feta. And I was like, well,
yeah,
like feta. And then I was going to make yogurt with some milk that had just slightly turned, and so the curds and whey separated, but it was like that little teeny tiny rice curds. And I was like, well, this is interesting. So I strained it, and it turned into almost like a ricotta cheese, which my favorite is the ricotta salata cheese, which is a mazzisra, like it's a press dried ricotta cheese. So I was like, I accidentally made this. I'm so excited. So they have been more accidental, but that's also how I learned how to make butters. I was trying to make whipped cream with raw cow milk and accidentally made maple flavored butter. So the best results in my kitchen are typically accidental. But and then I had a cow milk carfely, probably saying it wrong, which is a Welsh cheese recipe. And I had read that traditionally it was made with sheep milk. And so I'd also read that you just do math on the rennet. And so I'm doing an experiment where I converted the cow milk recipe into a sheep milk recipe, and we will see if that works. So, but I would like to get into kashkabal and, brunza and the Eastern European cheeses. But again, with my life right now, it's always a toss up of when my son is down for his nap or he's gone to bed and I have that 1 to 2 hour window, do I want to clean? Do I want to cook? Or do I need to make content to keep my business going? And I cannot do all of them at once. So what am I doing today? The cheese making has become very economical, which is the best way at the beginning, because I like to go gourmet, and he's like, just put some salt on it and roast it, and it tastes really good. So
that's been our approach too. Very, very similar with our cow, and it's really nice. Your son will grow as time goes by, and he will begin to help with the milking chore. And I'm at that amazing stage in life where I can say, Wallace, Johnny, Simon, go milk the cow.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And Wallace is at the point where he's likes to experiment with the cheese, and so he's got culinary aptitude anyway. He cooks. He's naturally gifted and interested in that, and so he just experiments with stuff. And we've never even used rennet, so he's just doing lactic acid or clabber cheeses all the time, salting, draining. He throws them in my little salami cave. And it's all just using basic, really simple principles, and that we get from David Asher's book. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got his new one, The Milk into Cheese, and that has just been so awesome because he draws heavily upon those traditional cheese makes. And what you find is that it's kind of like what you said, describing your process, that forgot about that jar of milk sitting on the counter. And it's like, hey, wait a minute, there's an official name for that.
Right.
It's called, this cheese from Sicily.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we forgot to drain it. It's like, oh, that's okay. They make that one in, in Austria. So it's very flexible when you're starting with the delicious, good ingredient, and
that's
it
what I made
just
with
makes
one store.
everything.
A Romanian cheese, and it's just rennet. Like, you only use rennet with the sheep milk and some salt.
Yeah.
Everything else is just using the natural cultures in the sheep milk. And my struggle has been to do that in Kentucky. I have to be very proactive about creating a clabber culture, like you would make, a sourdough starter of. It's actually a pretty similar process of, you take the discard,
Yeah.
you just put a tablespoon in, and you culture the correct beasties to make a delicious tasting cheese. And if I'm not that proactive, I will get something that is edible, but not exactly preferential, because we just have so many molds and yeast in our environment. It's very humid. So I have become a hoarder of wine coolers in order to age my cheeses, because when I leave my cheeses on the counter, as the books say to do, all of the microbes in the cheese get very excited and very happy and very balloony. And sometimes it's a delightful Swiss cheese experience, and other times we're like, we can replace that pig. Let's throw it at that and see what it does with this cheese, because I don't want to eat that. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
so.
but yeah, that to your point though,
Yeah.
as far as like, that's the nice thing about having the flexibility, because she'll call me sometimes when I'm at work and she goes, I just found a X amount of time old jug of milk. I don't know what it'll do. And I was like, is it ruined? I mean, we're going to have to pour it out. She goes, no, I thought I was going to make this cheese, but now I can make this cheese. That part is, the flexibility is nice. Like, we've not had anything go to ruin, if you will.
Yeah.
Even if it got lost.
Yeah.
Second.
I mean, and that's just the beauty of raw milk, is that it is always redeemable. And the redemption may be in the form of bacon, but that's a really nice one too. So,
This conversation will be continued in a forthcoming Part 2 episode. Thanks for listening, and peace be with you.